Okay. There we go. We are live. Okay, hopefully there are people going to be showing up really soon. Oh, we're a little bit early. Yeah, I shoulda.
You know what? We can dance for 9 minutes. That's
Yeah,
fine.
well, you know what? I can go ahead and put the link up. That's what I should do. Is I should put the link up in Twitter, so that way people know we're here, we're live.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just put
a little impromptu. But let me get the link for this shareable link. Here we go. I'll put that up because that way it'll probably help to let people know. All right, there we go. All right, I put it up in Twitter now, so hopefully everybody can see that we are live. Okay, my name is Dan, Book Nook Noggin. This is my channel, and I am here to interview
Chris Sorenson.
All right, the author of
the Messy Man series that you seem to have in your hot little hands right there.
Yes, I need to make sure I get them all on camera here. All right. Okay. I gotta say, man, I'm really impressed with these. Like, you did a very original take on a haunted situation, I guess. It's kind of, I don't want to say too much without spoiling it, because I really don't want to spoil it for anyone who has not read the series yet. But I gotta say that was my favorite thing about these books was the originality of it. I felt like it was really a multi-genre thing going on. More than just horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's probably a little Doctor Who thrown in there too.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite character was Ellen Marks. Loved her.
Yeah, I found her so easy to write. I think there's a lot of me in Ellen Marks. I had friends who read this and said, we always thought that you were the main character. We thought you were the audiobook narrator, but now that we read all three, you're Ellen, aren't you? And I said, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got Peter Larson vibes. I felt like, he was based on you a lot.
Yeah,
with the narration thing.
He took on his own. Yeah, well, I mean, not giving away too much. My wife and I, we're living in my wife's family house and we were taking care of her elderly aunt, and so there's a lot of autobiographical stuff throughout the whole book.
So
and now we're doing renovations.
Right. Did you grow up in the Midwest then?
I did. I grew up in northwestern Illinois.
Okay, Illinois. I wasn't sure if it was Indiana or Illinois, but yes,
Illinois.
No,
Illinois. No, almost Iowa, actually. So.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was like on the canal. I knew it was one of the canal states there. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, is Harmful Monkey Press your press?
Yes, it is.
Okay, now are you open for submissions if anyone is looking for a publisher? Or?
I will be, but not at this moment because I'm moving. I'm shifting. I've been doing the audio for this through Tantor Audio. They approached me because I've been working primarily with them as an audiobook narrator, and a couple folks there had read the books and went. They bought up the audio rights for them, and so that was a great way to get them out there. But now there are a few of us who are writers who are also narrators, and we're each of us are creating our own entity to basically be able to go from start to finish, create our own product from writing it to producing the audio and optioning rights, so film rights and such. So no, it's going to be Harmful Monkey Press is going to include audio as well. So
okay, awesome.
I have a feeling in about 2 years. What you're talking about will happen, but first I gotta get my stuff out there first.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit I did listen. I cheated and I read the books and listened to the audio.
Yeah, well,
and the narration. I loved the narration. I felt like you did a really good job narrating these books. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I did that maybe about 50 yards from here in the garage. So I've got I've got a studio set up in the garage. So
sort of like a little box kind of room, like it's in the Nightmare
I've got
room.
A whisper room, and so it's all soundproof back in there, air conditioning in the summer, heat in
nice.
the winter. My wife likes me to actually get out of the house to go to work, so
Right.
my commute is 1 minute with a cup of coffee.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my interview questions, which I
Sure.
should have did at the start. Okay, interview.
Thanks for having me. By the
First
way.
thing I want to ask you is, what got you into horror?
Oh, I've always ever since my first nightmare, I think, as a kid. I saw what got me into it. It was that Michael, was it Sorenson? That old 1974 Frankenstein made-for-TV movie.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Sarandon, Michael Sarandon. Yeah, it's a British made-for-TV Frankenstein. I had nightmares for a month after I saw that. And and after that, I was hooked. I was hooked. My parents couldn't stand it, but after that I was seeking out every like local haunted house. You know, at the JC's haunted house, I'd go like 5 times. It's okay. This is where that jump scare is coming. So, and go out to like in the first book, I'd always go out to the fairgrounds in Illinois. There wasn't a lot to do, but so in the fall they'd have the fall festival, and they'd have the haunted house that they'd unfold from a semi-trailer. And I'd go through that over and over again. But then I'd watch, we had Acre Creature Feature and Pyewacket Presents, these local Illinois creature features, cut rate creature features. And I'd see, old Boris Karloff movies, Snake People, Night of the Living Dead, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
I don't think I've heard of that one either.
That one's great. That's Bob Clark, who directed Christmas Story. And Porky.
Really?
He directed
I love that movie.
He directed an early ripoff of Night of the Living Dead set down on an island in Florida. And it's so dated and so wonderful.
And it's called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things?
Yeah. So it's got kind of a little Charlie Manson vibe. It's about a theater troupe that goes out to this island, and this kind of Manson-esque theater director takes them out there and lords over them in a Svengali way, but actually accidentally raises the dead. And so I saw
nice. I'll have to look that one
else.
up.
I always see things after the fact. I saw Jaws 2 before I saw the original Jaws. I saw Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things before I saw Night of the Living Dead. So, I come from the B-roll, I guess. So,
now was that a movie theater or a drive-in that they had the features?
That was the Den. That was the. I used to set my alarm. Pyewacket was always on at midnight on a Saturday, way after my bedtime. So I'd set a little alarm, and then I'd sneak out to the Den. And, in Illinois, with big picture windows that terrified me, and I'd sit there about this close to the TV and just watch. And that was my education. That was my first education. And then I just started. Of course, I started reading Stephen King. I loved Bradbury. Ate up Bradbury, but then I went into the theater in college. So I took a diversion into theater. Now I'm swinging back toward horror. So
that's why the one character has a background in theater.
Yeah. So
who would you say your influences are, like writing wise?
I enjoy Stephen King, but I think Bradbury. There's a real poetic quality, and there's a brevity to his writing.
I can kind of see that with your.
He's an Illinois boy too. He grew up. He grew up in the neighborhood where my father's grandparents were. So the ravine in Dandelion Wine. My dad used to play in the ravine, and he brought a poetry to a very mundane part of the world. So.
Yeah, definitely. Bradbury is a classic, author that I think everybody should be familiar with. Hi, Crystal. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Crystal.
Let me see. What other questions have we got? And the audience, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask as we go. How do you find time to write? Like, do you have a schedule? Are you a pantser or a planner?
I am not a pantser. For short stories, I'm a pantser. I started out as a screenwriter with lots of unproduced screenplays, and I worked at a few companies in the city as a script analyst, and so I spent about 2 years. I had a big accident in 2001, and I was taken out of the game for. I was actually a New York actor up until that point, and in 2001
really?
I got all smashed up, just like a character in book 2 does, and so it really kind of redirected. I went back to writing at that point, but I started. I took 2 years off and did nothing but take courses in screenwriting. Started, working for different companies, reading scads of scripts, and so learning story structure. And so I'm a little more loosey goosey now, but I still have beat sheets in my head from my screenwriting days. And
okay, so that makes sense because, to be honest with you, the books did play out like a film.
yeah,
Then I can see how that influenced.
And that can be taken in a good way or a bad way. I know that, but I mean, this is my way into a story. So, and between that and I just wrote my 13th play for a theater out in Colorado, and so
Okay.
I do some adaptations, and I also do original Halloween shows. So I adapt Frankenstein to Colorado, or I have a play that's going up this year actually, called Haunting at the Old Homestead. It's about an old brothel in the 1890s that's haunted by a demonic spirit. So.
Okay, sort of like what was that? Bordello of Blood? Is that what that was called?
Yes, it's a little bit of that, a little bit of Agatha Christie. It's a whodunit, and a lot of secrets, and so keep people guessing until the very end, with also a lot of theatrical effects, a lot of ghost effects all around the stage. So.
And so you do like a lot of special effects for the plays too?
I'm to the point where all I have to do is write the scripts. I used to be one of the producers. Now I go out there sometimes to direct, but I just show up on opening night or the week before.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that's kind of got to be a hard task to try to figure out how to do like special effects and stuff like.
Well, there's great stuff in the theater you can come with some. What was it? I saw Dracula when I was in high school, a production in Illinois, and they had this great portrait of Dracula that overpowered the whole set, and it was a scrim. So when you light it from the front, it's the portrait, but when you light it from behind, the actor's standing there, and the portrait comes to life. And I wrote that in. I wanted that effect. I knew that. So So the ghost.
Now, I first got introduced to your books from Rachel, The Shades of Orange.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she got a lot of people interested in these books.
Yeah, that was nice. She's not a haunted house person, and the fact that I was able to at least win her over as much as I did was it made me feel good.
Yeah, I think she's more of a sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, she has some great things to say about these books, and I'm like, she piqued my interest for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was interesting. I was watching your Goodreads, watching your progression. It's like watching a GPS of like, oh, he's into book 2 now. He's into book 3 now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I try to do that, and I try to do as many updates as I can, so that way, like, it links to my Twitter, so that way people will be able to see, okay, this book is coming, these are the pages I'm on, so people can see, and I should try to do more like little like tidbits or thoughts like on the page count, like
I do like that.
I
really like that. Like, what's it? No giveaways, but like, here comes Riggs in or something like that.
Yeah. That's another thing. I really think that your characters were well written. They were believable for me, and that makes for a strong story. Is when characters are believable, like they could be your next door neighbor or somebody in your circle of friends. And like Riggs, like I kind of like how you brought him back for the 3rd book, which I did not expect that for a background for him.
I didn't really either, so that kind of surprised me as well. I think it all came. As I was writing book 2, the one of the last chapters is Ellen and Riggs, and it's they never had a scene together really in book 2, and then they just had this dialogue together at the bar, and I went, this is writing really easy. There's something about these two. They, I like the rhythm of their speaking. How can I bring him back? Can I? And I went, yeah, I could do that. So
right. Yeah, because I totally didn't expect Riggs to have that kind of background, to have worked in a library. Like,
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, this guy runs a bar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that. Yeah.
Well, in the Midwest, you do everything you can. I mean,
Right.
in the Midwest, you do a lot of jobs you're not quite qualified for. That's what I was a lifeguard. I never should have been a lifeguard.
Oh, really? I can
was-
kind of relate. Like I had those kind of jobs. Like I think that early 2000s, late 90s, just doing a little bit of this and that. Yeah, I say I'm the jack of all trades because I did so many different things that I would never do ever again.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's just like kind of like you said, just surviving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've actually, are some of the locations in your books like real places, like the Blind Rock? Is that a real place, or
The Blind Rock is loosely based on a play. There was an old movie theater in town where I grew up. It was Monmouth, Illinois. It was about, when I was growing up, it was about 11,000 people. Now it's, I think, about 9,000 people. But on Main Street, there was a old theater that was running back since the 1940s called the Rivoli Theater, and which has since shut down. But next to it, the building, it's called the Bijou Tavern. And when I would go back to visit my dwindling number of friends still in town, they would, let's go to the Bijou. And so you go in there, you've got all these old photos of the theater. And so it's this very interesting vibe of the past and the present, but it's also just like a completely like honky-tonk bar. So it's a version of that place. So when I was writing too, I've got to, if I'm really going to do this, I got to drive back. So I drove 1,000 miles back and stayed there for a week.
Oh, nice.
And just went back to see all the spots that I used to hang out in. Used to go, we have a Ghost Road. I went to Ghost Road. I went to the old college that my dad taught at. I went all around. I took pictures and brought that back as a reference if I ever needed anything. I just kind of.
So you say Ghost Road, is that like a road that has a haunting on it?
Yeah, it's Ghost Road. When we were in high school, it's called Ghost Road. I think predating that, it's called this Crybaby Bridge, and you go out to the edge of town, and it's like this ravine before you get out to the cornfields, and there's this old barn where supposedly this farmer hung his wife, and there's a little tiny bridge over a creek, and they call it Crybaby Bridge, where you're supposed to put your car in neutral and it drives itself, and then you start hearing the cries of a baby.
Really?
And yeah.
Did you ever go and try it?
We did, and it didn't end well because we had a friend with us who had a mask, and he jumped out in front of a truck, and the truck chased us out into the cornfield, and so was not quite the experience we were expecting.
So was there a version of the Intermission Motel then too?
There is. It was called Mellings. It was a restaurant hotel. No longer, it's been flattened now, but it was it was old when I was a kid. So and there was a cow up on the roof that they would take down.
I was thinking that. I was going to ask you, was there really a cow on
there
the
was roof? And I don't remember what they called it, but they would put it at the front. We had the Prime Beef Festival every year in the fall, and we have the Prime Beef Queen, and leading the parade on a little dolly, or I don't know what it was the cow. Yeah. People pushing the cow. So we look forward to it.
I was thinking of something and I forgot what I was going to ask you now. Oh man, I'm gonna have to try to backtrack and hopefully I can pick up that thought. There was something I was going to ask you in relation to book 2. Oh yeah, the concept of the messy man. Are you gonna write any more stories about those creatures? Are they like demons or?
That's. I don't think I'm done with that, and I think they're really attached to Peter's story.
Okay.
So I think I've for myself I've kind of tapped it out. I could go in more depth and explain the mythology that's in my head, but. I think
because I kind of like I like the concept of the Blind Rock, the church and the people, and how they had these like familiars, I guess.
Yeah.
I liked how you shared more of that background in book 3.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that because like I was like when I got done reading book 1, I wanted to know more about, Mr. Tell.
Yeah.
And you did that in book 2, and then when I got to book 2, I'm like, well, who's Sister? I want to know more about these creatures,
Right.
and like Ellen Marks, and I love the fact that you brought her back and kind of gave her kind of an origin story in book 3 too.
Well, Ellen, I won't go back and revisit those creatures, but I won't say the same about Ellen. I have getting away from these for a while. I'm working on a few other things, but I think she's got a couple standalone books.
So I would love to see some standalone stories with her. I mean, if you could do like a side story that's about just her as the main character and her adventures, that would be great.
I'm thinking I've got 3 books in mind that I've loosely outlined, and they're really about her when she's come into her own more as a ghost hunter. So,
okay,
still,
nice.
Still an outsider, and the characters that she starts surrounding herself with, so that's she's grudgingly forms a team, I think. So.
Oh, okay. That should be interesting. Yeah. She was a really interesting character. I like the fact that she was kind of like gung-ho. She's really like a strong character. She kind of take no crap kind of character.
No crap, just kind of elbows her way through life. Doesn't censor herself, either to herself or with other people. Follows.
Yeah, I think that's what made her really enjoyable. Aside from the fact that like how she can see things and like feel things and kind of predict like futures, I guess. Kind of. It's.
I wanted somebody who treated it, who wasn't precious with it, with her gift. Was more sometimes annoyed with it. Sometimes.
Yes, I like that. She's like, oh, there's this constant buzzing and all this background going on.
And I like the fact that she has to every now and then tame it a bit with some kind of other input. And that hot sauce is one of her.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Yeah,
carrying around those little tiny Tabascos, just taking a little shot of that just to.
Right.
Shift the brain off of it, or close off the connection somehow.
Definitely, yeah. She's by far my favorite character, and then Peter was another one, and Willa. I really liked the character of Willa.
Yeah,
I thought she was an interesting character. Okay, would you like to see your book adapted for a movie or TV series? And which do you think it would be better for adaptation?
Never. No. Yes, of
you
course.
You would never adapt it? Not even if Netflix is like, we want this.
I would love to. I've had a number of things that have gone almost the distance. So I would love to see. I would love to see book 1. It would probably be a huge commitment to do book 2, book 3, but I think book 1 would make a good standalone.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like each book almost kind of feels like they're a standalone because. The way I don't know, is that a spoiler if I reveal that time kind of resets with each book, like kind of like it becomes its own like. Now, is this kind of like a multiverse kind of thing? Like, is that what was going on with book 2 and 3? That Peter existed on multiple planes?
I think there's I think it's I didn't want to explain it too technically. I wanted it to be about choices and trying to make good on bad choices and paying for your bad choices and struggling to make the life you want in the midst of a really messy world, and one that gets messier when supernatural forces blend into it. But Peter definitely has early on makes some choices that some people have had real problems with, and I just tried to make him as human as possible. But I think over the course of the 3, he pays and comes out a different person at the end, or doesn't.
Yeah, I totally did not expect how he was in the 3rd book. I didn't expect that. that iteration of them at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to spoil it, like I said, in case, you know, someone hasn't read the third book, or, you know. But yeah, I definitely, like, I that's one of the things that the fact that there was, like, each book was kind of its own thing. You kind of, like, you resolve it at the end of each book, and then we kind of just turn the clock back, but it's like a different version of it. The second
somebody
or
who was
third
it, John Bender, who wrote the book Chainsaw, he went, did you structure this on Back to the Future? It's like you do one story and then you do a reset of the story in 2, and then you go to the past in 3. And I went, did I? I guess in some sense there's a little bit of the Back to the Future trilogy in it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so I'll crib from anything. I don't care, as long as I get the pages done.
Right. Yeah, it works. It definitely works. Like I said, like, you know, it made it its own kind of genre, and it's its own animal. Like, it's not like, I read, are you familiar with Mike Clark? Patience of a Dead Man?
Yes. I have it on my Kindle right now, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cause, like, he's also, like, he's a self-published author too. And, like, he pretty much did his own thing too. Like, his story's kind of original when it comes to haunted houses, and I love the fact that you haven't read the series yet, have you, for him? Because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Please don't.
Okay, yeah, because when you get to book 1, you're going to be like, what's going on here? And when you finally find out, and he teases out more in book 2, you're going to love it.
Good. That's a good recommendation.
Yeah. Whenever somebody says, hey, I want a haunted house series, I always, like, throw his book out there, because I love original haunted house books. They're definitely, you know, because everybody always wrote the Haunting of Hill House.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, to be honest with you, like, I don't feel like that one is as good as everyone says it is.
I think I hit it right at the right point. I think I watched it dead of winter, you know, during one of the various lockdowns, and I was like, my wife.
Oh, the Netflix series is great.
Yeah,
the book.
The book itself.
Yeah. It didn't do anything for me. Like, I'm kind of hesitant to check out any more Shirley Jackson because it just didn't appeal to me. Like, I don't know.
Maybe you need to listen.
But it's one of those classics that's
the audio. Somebody can. Sometimes a good narrator can bring out some good parts of the story that you would normally maybe gloss over. True.
That is very true. Yes. Okay, so I feel like you've already answered this one, but will there be any more books in the series? Like,
not in this
done, right?
Series, this series is done. Yeah, I've got a couple standalone novellas I'm working on right now. I've got a 3-book series where I'm writing 2, and another author and I are collaborating on the third, which is actually the middle book in it.
Can you reveal who that person is?
Sure.
Or is it too soon to say?
No, sure. His name's Nick Sullivan. He's a Broadway actor. He's an audiobook narrator. He's an author. He writes the Deep series, which is an tropical author adventure. So this one the middle one takes place on the ocean, and so we were talking back and forth and went, you know what, we could probably, you know, we could have your audience would like this, my audience would like this, and so we actually were meeting over tacos the other night talking about it.
I think that's a fun concept when you get 2 authors that, you know, contribute and, like, create, like, something, like, that's, you know, like, both of them. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell who writes what when you read books like that.
Mm-hmm. I like
when you get that, when it's kind of flawless and you don't really know, like.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, some people you think I've done a lot of collaborations where I thought, okay, this is going to work great. You know, and it doesn't. And then other ones where you just prop each other's, you know, weaknesses and up with your strengths, and it jives great. So I think we're outlining it right now, and it's working. I think we have the same sensibility for it. So.
Okay. Now, going back to, like, an adaptation of the Nightmare Room, who would you want to see play the role of Peter? Do you have anybody in mind?
I mean, I wish he hadn't done the new Poltergeist. I really love Sam Rockwell, but Sam Rockwell younger, a little younger. But somebody
maybe there's
like
an actor who's like him that could do that then. Yes,
I really. I've been asked this a few times, and I really can't come up with anybody. It's got to be somebody who, on the appearance, at first glance, you go, okay, this is a nice guy, nice family guy, but there's something really dark underneath. And Sam Rockwell, I think, has the temperament for it, but I don't know if he'd be the right person. But yeah, I mean, do you have any?
Honestly, I kept picturing you being Peter.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in the beginning. Then I started wearing black and started drinking hot sauce, and it was a little more Ellen-esque.
Okay, so what are your hobbies? What hobbies do you have outside of writing?
I wish I had some time for hobbies. Fixing up this house right now is my full-time hobby. We have contractors here 6 days a week. But hobbies, writing. I mean, I write when I'm not writing. I read audiobooks, so I'm reading when I'm not writing, and when I'm not reading. So I don't really find time for hobbies. I mean, I like watching Icelandic TV shows. I like going out and finding.
Oh, can you give us some recommendations?
What is the one I'm watching right now about? It's Kalva. It's about the dormant volcano in Iceland that suddenly starts erupting and erupts for a year, and everybody leaves this small town, and then odd things start happening. And so I love those because it's in Icelandic, but when they talk to people in Sweden, they talk in English, and when the Swedish characters talk together, they talk in Swedish. And so
now, where is that? Is that streaming someplace?
That's on Netflix. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's
and it's called what again?
It starts with a K. There's an A in it. There's a V. There's an L, and there's an A. But I don't know what order. You have to kind of keep putting those in order and find it.
Okay.
But it's Icelandic.
I'll have to check that out. Maybe I'll ask Viclame Mist. She might know about that one. She's from Iceland. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Okay, and of course you do watch horror films. So.
Yeah. I haven't had a lot of time to do so in the last year for some reason. I think it's been a busy year for my wife and myself. I was helping get the theater back up and running after a year off. We jumped into the renovations. I've been working on new books. I've been recording like a madman, and recording early in the morning and late at night because of construction. So it's been you're doing all the renovations yourself, not hiring? No, we have a contractor, and they start around 8 and leave at 5, and so I've got to get up at around 4:35 to start recording, and then when they're done, then people tend to start mowing their lawns and blowing leaves at around 5 o'clock. So about 8 o'clock.
Really, that early?
Yeah. So 8 to 12, I go back to the booth and record some more. So.
Yeah, I think I'd go out and murder somebody if my neighbors started mowing their lawn at 5 a.m.
There's a guy I know who started his own audiobook company. I think he named it Leaf Blower Audio. It's a well-known fact among narrators that leaf blowers were created by the devil. So.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some times where I think the earliest I ever decided to mow my lawn was like 6:30, 7 a.m. That's kind of pushing it around here.
Yeah, I would have come out with the hose.
Because I live in the city, and like one of the biggest disturbances I have to deal with, which I never got this concept. I have a couple of neighbors who have dirt bikes. We live in the city, mind you, not the country. But these kids, they'll ride their dirt bikes like in their backyards, then they'll zip around their house to come out to the road. And the police don't seem to care. So and I used to have another neighbor I'm glad he moved out. Because it was when my kid was little. My kid was a toddler, and this kid would want to ride his bike every 9 p.m. around his house. All you'd hear all night. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna kill this kid.
That's when I sit back, flip the AC switch, and check my email, wait it out.
But yeah, that was, and I could feel you on being really busy because, like, I feel like even with the pandemic going on, like, I've been an essential worker from, like, I'm going to say day 2 because I think the first day we were off, like, I was told not to come in the first day, but things have been crazy. It's, you know, and then you have the real life, you know, you have all, like, appointments and stuff like that, and, like, everything else in life trying to, I just saw your website here. I didn't see that until just now. I was like, who's sending me a message?
Well, it's interesting. My wife and I, for the past year and a half, have been busier than we've ever been since we got married. She's the catering sales manager at the local country club, and she's been helping keep the place running through everything, and you know. Figuring out, she books weddings, and I mean, she's a lot like, you know, she's headstrong, and I'm the thinker, and she's the doer. So she just kept doing, and that person's out. Okay, I'll do that job. That person's out. I'll do that. Let's get this going. So she's a force of nature.
Because I was going to say, with the way things have been going, like, it seems like it's kind of hard to fill spots, like, lately.
She was one of the first people in town. Okay, let's rent the tents before everybody else rents the tents. Let's get some igloos out on the boardwalk. Let's get this going, you know. So
right,
finding ways to keep it all going. Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, well, my life hasn't changed except you aren't here as much, and I'm taking care of the dog more. So
you've definitely have. You don't feel like you've had more time to write because of the pandemic because you were already on that schedule, kind of, right?
Yeah. But I'm getting my office back today, actually. So I'm very happy. I just went out and bought one of the last portable AC units I could find because the HVAC isn't set up back in the back part of the house yet. So,
I would love to have an HVAC in my house. Yeah.
I don't do. I'm a winter person. I'm Scandinavian through and through, and so I get up into the mountains, and then I wake up. But during the summer, I just kind of if I could cocoon, I would.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of Siberian in me, so like the snow doesn't bother me as much. What's that?
Yeah, I like it as cold as you can give it. I'm happy with that.
Oh, are you kidding me? I got my AC cranked up. I like it a little frosty.
Yeah. Good. Stay that way. Stay that way for a couple more months. You're almost there.
Yeah, I've got the Scandinavian and Siberian, so that's kind of double the love of the chill.
Well, it's been interesting. What does that say? So much like, oh my goodness, yes. It's you know, we're here about an hour outside of New York, and so we're living in a completely different world than our friends who are in the city. I went for the first time to go and have dinner and drinks with them on the streets of New York on one of those outdoor booths. Did I go away? Am I still here?
No, you're still here.
Oh, and so
I was just putting up another comment. But yeah,
they're living completely different lives than we are, and our family in Colorado's living completely different lives than us. Well, it snowed in Colorado yesterday, on Trail
Did it really? This early?
Trail Ridge Road, up near Estes. Yeah.
So it must be in the mountains then, huh?
Yeah. So
okay.
yeah, I don't do the heat. I'm gonna shower up with the coldest water I can get out of that spigot later today.
Yeah, see, I live in upstate New York, central New York, and man, we've gotten some doozies for the winter.
Yeah.
We get a lot of snow there. I'll never forget, like, it was a couple years ago, we got like 4 feet of snow all in one day.
Oh, that's
I literally had to go grab my shovel and dig a tunnel to the road.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
Yeah, I love.
I know when like New York City gets like that, they got to shut the whole city down.
I know. Yeah, I was up for a year. I was up in Ithaca for a year. Up at Cornell, I was a visiting artist, and the winter was definitely. I mean, everybody up there is completely ready for it, but not me.
Hi, Melissa. Yeah, definitely the Northeast. I think it's kind of wonky. I try to explain to some people how our weathers are because, like, sometimes like we get like the super hot and humid summers, and then like, well, I don't know how it's like for down. You're in New Jersey, right?
Yeah. I'm basically almost Pennsylvania. Really, I'm near.
Oh, okay.
About 30 minutes maybe from the Delwater Gap. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's hot, humid. We live in a hot, humid. I mean, my brain just turns off. My wife and I went to a friend's wedding in Italy during heat wave Lucifer, and we were walking around in Venice. And my mom, my wife used to. My mom. Oh my God, I got to talk to my therapist. My wife pulled me into the ATMs every now and then because those were nice and cold. Yeah, go into the chase and this because I was starting to faint walking around the canals. So.
Now, where are these canals again?
In Venice.
Oh, in Venice, in Italy.
Yeah, we went during their biggest heat wave, I think. So it was miserable. So I guess I get to choose the next trip. So maybe where is there ice left on the earth? I'll go there.
Right?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, or up in Alaska. I used to have a buddy who lived in Alaska, and he was an electrician, and he said that some places they'd have to fly a helicopter in there because you couldn't get there by road because of the snow and ice.
Oh, you're just teasing now.
Build an igloo.
Oh my gosh. Well, September's coming, and then October, then November, and then everybody can be happy.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the things with the pandemic. I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm getting old, but I feel like day to day is just flying by. Everything seems to be, I'm like, it's already August.
I know.
I felt like yesterday was like February or March.
I get into a month and I look down and already it's like the 15th of that month. It's half the month.
Right,
I think they feel half as long.
Yeah, definitely. They do feel that way. I kind of judge my my months by when I get my silver shamrock box because I get this. I won the coffee book box from them.
Oh yeah.
And like lately, it's been coming like around the 15th, 16th of the month, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like the month's already half over already. Like before you know it, it's another month already. Crazy.
Yes, it is.
There we go.
End of the midnight. My whole half my family just went up to Alaska. They just
really?
They up and went to Alaska and were flying in a helicopter over the glaciers and going up and eating odd foods, cured meats of many kinds, wild game, I guess.
Oh yeah, like moose or elk or.
Yes, I don't think they're bringing anything back for me. Sometimes they bring back odd jerkies, so hopefully
we got a place like that in Syracuse. There's the Destiny USA Mall. They have it's a exotic jerky store, I guess.
Exotic jerky. That doesn't sound right at all.
When I say exotic, I mean they have like a lot of weird stuff there, like stuff you wouldn't imagine as being a jerky.
Wombat.
I don't know. They might. They definitely like they have like bugs and stuff like that. My kid's an adventurous eater, and he's brought back some pretty crazy stuff that I was like.
I saw some people are eating cicadas this summer.
Yeah, I saw that. They were advertising that on the news here, saying you can fry them up and they taste like shrimp.
I am not getting that out of my head today. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I listened to a couple of podcasts, and I think I read a book. what was that last book I read that was it was a nonfiction from somebody who writes for National Geographic usually. But she had a whole chapter on eating bugs and how it's this big, huge industry, and they do these conventions where they actually like set out like meals, like full like courses of different kinds of bugs and the way you can consume them.
I don't mind eating the protein, like a protein powder made out of whipped bugs,
Crickets.
But
yeah,
like turn it into like a healthy bread that's bug bread or something like that. But I keep thinking of like, if I'm going to eat a bug, I'm going to feel those barbs of like some leg, sticking on my tongue, some grasshopper.
right, crickets and stuff.
No,
yeah.
thank you. No, thank you.
I think I could do ants if they were like encased in chocolate. I think I'd be fine like that.
I think they taste like raspberries a little bit.
I don't know, but I think it would almost be like a Nestle Crisp or something, like a Nestle Crunch bar.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that little juicy pop.
I know, right? All right. So we talked about upcoming projects. You're definitely you're dedicating like 3 books to Ellen Marks too, then?
Yeah, I might as well say it. Yes, I am. Yeah, 3 different situations she's in. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But,
okay,
I've got to get away from that world for a little while. I got to let her sit and marinate for a little while.
Okay, so do you do any other genres besides horror?
Only in plays. I mean, I get commissioned to do like holiday, like a Christmas show, or do like a melodrama, or but for writing, I just don't. It's just my go-to. I can't write a story without something coming out of a crack in the wall or something.
Okay, yeah. And you don't think you're gonna bring back the Blind Rock people then, or like
no,
the future? Okay,
I will say no until I actually do. So, but
okay,
today.
Okay, fair enough. No. Fair enough.
Yeah, just like Stephen King never going to revisit The Overlook.
Oh, I know, right? But he did it so well with Dr. Sleep, though.
Yeah,
that was a really good bringing it back.
I like listening to Stephen King more than I like reading. I like.
I've heard that people say he narrates really well, but I don't think I've heard any books that he's narrated for himself.
Well, when he reads, I mean, I always like it when you hear an author read. But I like that he doesn't try to. He knows he's an author reading. He's not trying to do all the characters, or even he just gives a tiny little flavor of it, and I like that. Although what is Mare Winningham? I really liked her interpretation of Lisey's story.
I haven't read that one yet.
That was great. I guess she went into, was it Recorded Books? My buddy worked there, and I got to hear it before the book was released, that was fun.
Okay.
That was during my
there should be a revitalization of interest in that with the Apple show coming out.
Yeah, I've got it.
I don't know if that's out yet or not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've been trying to like rewatch a lot of horror movies, like older horror movies, because like that's one of the advantages I have of my job is like I sit in front of a computer all night, so I only really need one eye to look at the screen,
right?
And then I usually put my smartphone over here, and I'll like watch like Prime or Netflix or whatever. And yeah, like last night I watched When a Stranger Calls. Have you ever seen that one? Yeah, I don't think that today's kids would be able to handle or get that or really understand the dread behind that one.
You got to watch Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. That's got to be.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look that one up. I'm hoping it's available streaming someplace.
Oh, you just watch it on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's available. And I love the old Prophecy, the man with the man bear pig. Who did that? Was that Frankenheimer? Have you ever seen Prophecy?
No.
Oh, you got not the Christopher Walken one, but before that.
That's what that was. That, to be honest, that was the thought that came to my mind. Was it Christopher Walken?
Yeah, it's like I remember that. A creature is like an inverted bear almost, like a turned inside out bear person thing that crashes through the forest and eats people.
Okay. So it's nothing like the Christopher Walken one.
Not anything like it, no.
Okay. Are there any actors in it that I would know?
Ty Shire from Rocky.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Right.
I think that's it. Maybe I think Armand Asante plays a Native American.
Okay.
I think that was the point where he was playing every ethnicity he could get his hands on.
Yeah, I think I recall some movies from the 70s that were like that, where they would have like all these people play different like races that they weren't. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting period of time, I guess you could say.
Mm. Those are two. And what is the one? There's one that I used to show up on Pyewacket all the time. Don't Look in the Basement. That was a good one. Set in a
that one I'm going to have to add too. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Don't Look in the Basement. Yeah, it's basically an inmates take over the asylum. That's it. That's the movie. 1970 something. Inmates take over the asylum.
That kind of reminds me of the Dream Master. Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just rewatched those too on Peacock there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you have access to Prime. Alien, they remastered that. They have a 4K edition, and they have another one that they remastered. It looks like it was just released.
And did they include? It's longer, right? Did they include the
what?
There were some Ripley scenes that they added back in, I think.
I don't know because it's been so long since I've seen it. Like I haven't seen it since I was a kid. So like as soon as I started watching it, it felt like, it was like kind of coming back into my memory. But like, like I said, it'd been so long since I'd seen it.
I think there's definitely something Cicada-like about the alien. I wonder what it would taste like.
Who is that? The artist too? Was it
Giger?
Giger, yeah.
Giger.
H.R. Giger, yeah. I have his book on my bookshelf too. It seems like he seemed to do that kind of art style through everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved there some book where it was the Art of Alien or whatever, and it was all these different clay sculptures he was making with vacuum hoses and
some crazy stuff
objects to create a skull. I don't want to know what he put in there, but it was good.
I think the first time I watched that as a kid, I couldn't imagine that was a man in a suit. Yeah. But now when you go back and look at it, it's kind of obvious that that's a guy in a suit, like an oversized kind of, But it looks really sharp, though.
That's a movie I would love. I mean, there are a bunch of movies and books that I would like to read and see again for the first time with no knowledge at all about them, and that's one of them.
Right.
Just take out that part of my brain and watch it anew. Actually, I'd like to see that with a packed audience who's never seen it before.
Oh yeah, especially the one scene where you first see the alien in the dining area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we could spoil it because the movie's how old now? Like,
yes,
the chest burster.
I got to say, my absolute favorite time. There were my two favorite times in a movie theater. One was Pulp Fiction at a college. That my buddy was teaching.
Oh, you saw that in the theater?
I went to see my buddy. Well, they were showing it at the college that my buddy was teaching at, and so he and I just snuck in the back, and it was all students, maybe seeing it for the first time, and it was so loud through the whole thing, through Pulp Fiction. But Silence of the Lambs I saw in a theater in Times Square. Packed audience, and that was another one where you could just feel the audience rising and falling with it.
Right.
And I guess that's kind of where I come from with my writing. I try to think in those terms of of dynamic tensions of where I want to at least try to lead people, and then confound an expectation and lead them down this path, and then play them like a violin.
Right. Okay, now if you could recommend a book to someone that's one of your favorite books, like whether one. Okay, I want to answer for an indie and then an answer for a big, big, big publisher. What books would you recommend?
What was it? I knew you were going to ask this, and I just had it in my head. Laurel Hightower's latest book, Crossroads.
Oh yes, yes.
Really, really. I mean, the writing is. I mean, the story is great, but the writing, I just went, this is top rate. This is.
That was my first exposure to her. I still have yet to read her her debut, which I gotta correct that and read that one.
Published, I think it's not even a horror. It's The Memory of Running by Ron McClarty.
What's that one about?
He was an actor, a New York actor who was also an audiobook author, and he wrote a book. It's basically about a ne'er-do-well son whose parents die. He's this big lug of a guy, and the whole book is just about how he processes that by riding his bike, and becomes a completely different person by the end of it. And so, but it was one of those books that when I was working at Recorded Books, they had never he couldn't find a publisher for it, and Claudia at Recorded Books said, why don't we just release it as an audiobook? This was before they actually did that, and they did that.
So it was released as an audiobook first?
Released as an audiobook first, and so I guess this does tie back in. It's just a coincidence. Stephen King listened to it and went, this is the best book you've never read. In Entertainment Weekly, he said, and it was like the last page, he said, this is the best book you've never read. And so then he got a publishing deal after that. But
nice.
Yeah, but it's I like lyric. I like lyric, but I like darkened lyric. So
definitely
poetry of the grave, I guess.
If a writer can write a story like kind of like prose, like lyrically, like that keeps you interested, like even if there's like mundane parts of the story going on, if it's well written enough, it can still keep you interested. And I feel like that's definitely a skill. Like sometimes I feel like that's kind of a lost art almost. I feel like I don't know, because I feel like
I mean it's the ability to, if you've got important plot moments you've got to get through to get to some other bit. A lot of times it feels like that, as you're reading it, you're going, okay, well, I guess I need to know this information, as opposed to making it dramatic, making it, that's the time you can allow yourself to have a side character that, oh, this is an interesting person, doesn't really have anything to do with the plot. Well, actually, they have a lot to do with the plot because they're getting you the information that you need to know, and you didn't really register it right away.
Yes, if it wraps it up and makes sense in the end, then I feel like that's well done. I'm currently reading, I don't know if you read comics or graphic novels at all. I'm kind of reading this book called Monsters. This illustrator, he'd worked on it for like the past 30 years. And it's one of those books that like everybody loves it, but like I feel like it's got too much information in it. Like there's just too much going on with a background story. And I'm like... Yeah, I feel like it's losing me because it's just got too much going on. I mean, it's very well illustrated because I think it's Barry Williamson is his name? I can't remember his name, but he's like a well-known illustrator.
It's okay, Lucy. It's okay. My dog's having a nightmare. Lucy, it's okay. I have this dog that has a nightmare. She falls asleep, and about 10 minutes in, she has a nightmare about something, and I don't know what. She has the cushiest life. I don't know what she's so scared of. Maybe it's me.
You got the zoomies in overtime?
Yeah, I don't know if she's sensing something in the house or...
She doesn't stare at the walls blankly, does she?
Not when I'm around. That's good. Yeah, I am glad we're
shadow people or the Hat Man,
Oh.
I don't know if you ever heard of that.
The little people came out. What is the one where the little people come out of the chimney? Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, I think that's been a while since I've seen that one. Yeah.
I think I've only seen a bit. I don't know what do they do? Steal your keys? I don't know.
Right? Like little goblins or leprechauns or something.
Yeah, little naked goblins,
yeah.
little chubby little goblins, kind of like from The Gate.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you listen to No Sleep, the podcast?
No, I sleep. I haven't had much time to do anything like that for the past year. So I'll
If
take
you ever
all
get a chance to check it out,
recommendations.
there are some very good stories on there.
Yeah.
Some of them are published authors, and some of them are just like they just write and then they put it on No Sleep. But that made me think of this one story that I had heard on there about a mother and son, and the son, like, he had some kind of disability when he was little, and his mother wanted to fix him and make him a normal child, so she gave him to the fairy folk. And then he finds out about this and he wants to go back and get the original him. It's really dark.
Oh wow.
Really
so it's like
weird.
A story. Okay. Neat.
Yeah. But it's about fairy folk. And there's not too many people that write about kind of dark fantasy kind of legends like that. So that was what really, and then I heard another one on there. It was really interesting. It was a different take on vampires.
Yeah.
Where they're out there in the dark, but you never see them, so you don't know if they're real or if it's all imaginary. That one was really interesting, and that one takes place in the Midwest. That was pretty creepy and scary.
There are a lot out there.
Yeah, right? Well, we're coming in at an hour, so do you guys in the audience, do you have any questions?
Where should I take my next vacation?
I'll take their silence as but going back to Laurel Hightower, it's kind of sad that she had left the Ink Heist.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like she was one of the driving forces behind that podcast.
I'm interested in what's coming next. What out of that keyboard? That's
all for her writing. Yeah. Definitely. Like I said, I got to go back and read her first one.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely check that. But it's like I have so many books on my TBR, and it's like trying to plan everything out.
Yeah.
And then I want to go back and reread some King. And
I have gotten in the habit of just getting, when I buy a Kindle and it gives you the option to get the audio. With my schedule, I'll often do a hybrid where I, pick up where I left off. If I have to go and run errands, I'll just stick it on the car radio. And
that's what I like to do too. It's so much more efficient for me because, like, with my job, I can listen to stuff, and and then when I go on my break, I can crack open the book and read it. And that just works out so much easier for me. Is like books that are like on audio too. Like,
right.
I don't know. I'm not much of a Kindle reader, to be honest.
I wasn't at first, but then I think it happens in like over a course of like 24 hours. You become one. You become an ebook reader, and I think it's one of the things that's done it for me is all the publishers send me PDFs or Mobi files of the books that I record. And so I got the biggest iPad because my eyes are starting to go. I got the biggest iPad I love it now. I just love just tap the page comes, and it's fit it to my as I go older, I can probably get maybe 5 words on a page and still be able to read when 30, 40 years from now.
Now, how did you get into doing audiobooks? Did you get into that before you started writing, or?
Yeah, I had a buddy who was working there and said, you know what, you should just come over to the studio one day down, on Union Square and come meet the owner of Recorded Books. And I said, okay. Here's a couple bits of stuff to read for her. So I went into the studio. It was me and Claudia, and she gave me some notes and said, let's do it again. She liked she said. She gave me the best bit of advice for audio, which is don't try to do a performance, really. Do it for one person across a campfire. That's where your performance level should be. That's about, as elevated as you want it, at least for her. And that served me well. And she said, take your time.
Right. That makes sense. I never thought of it that way.
So
but
it was
that
through a
does make
friend.
sense.
A friend got me in, and getting up early and all the work kept me in it. So
does it pay well down there?
It pays well, and it gets the insurance, which is nice. So, and
nice. So do you get like a royalty every time like someone sells an audiobook, or
it depends on which contract you're going under. Some you get a flat per hour rate, and sometimes you're getting sometimes they go above a certain number, you get more royalty, and even different if you're doing your own through ACX or something. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Melissa makes a great point here. You can take 100 books with you on vacation, no problem. Read in the dark without bothering your partner. Except for my partner, my wife. Can you put your phone away, please?
My gosh, you open that page and you go, oh my gosh, I'm so behind, and there's no excuse. There's no excuse. You have it right there. It's like, okay.
Right. When it comes to like, in the dark and flashing devices, I bought myself a smartwatch for my birthday, and you like shake your arm or you move your arm the slightest bit, and boom, it's like a flashlight in the room. But yeah, great point about the Kindle books. That is very true. You can bring your Kindle or your phone, and
I'm always having to make lists because I'm constantly forgetting the real life stuff. I can keep story ideas in my head for years and years and years, but okay, you got to mow the lawn. I can write that down. But it's great for like somebody recommends a book. It's instantly, I got it. It'll never escape.
I have so many books on my Kindle though. Like I think that's why I don't know, because I feel like I'm always constantly charging my phone because like my phone, like the battery's draining, and I'm like, I feel like my phone's always on the charger, so that's why I think I don't use my phone to read Kindle books that often.
Right. I like having a library with me wherever I go.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, very much so. Well, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and thanks for reading. That's
yeah, definitely. If you're gonna write those Ellen Marks books, I am totally looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, great character.
She's ready. I've got this new character that she's interacting with that is I can't tell you about him, but he's of the same. He's of a similar skill set to her, but
okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you more later.
You definitely. I'm going to tie this in. You need to definitely check out Mike Clark's books because he's got a similar character to Ellen Marks, but he's kind of more reluctant, kind of like he's thrown into it.
Yeah.
He's really interesting, and I know Mike plans on writing a book that's just based on him.
Right.
I can't remember his name off the top. It's Andrew.
I will find out soon because it's going to be on my Kindle when we're done.
Yeah, he edited those books down. Like I think he felt the need to, because I think he thought that people don't have the time to read chunky books, so I think he tried to cut out. I have the originals though, the original versions he released, and I told him flat out, I'm like, Mike, these books are great, man. I'm like, I don't feel like they're too long, because there are some long books that were done well, like The Stand, and It. Like, if you would have cut those down, would they still be the same book?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely. Definitely, I'll be waiting for Ellen Marks.
Yeah,
I definitely.
She tells me when it's time to. She tells me when it's time. She that really did happen with book 3. I mean, it would have come out a little sooner, but then we went into lockdown here, and it was like we were at the point where it was like curfew and everything else, and I was like, I feel no creative spark, and then it was almost as if a part of my brain went, well, are you ever going to get to my story now? I've been a bit player in everybody else's. Are you ever going to get back to me?
Right,
And
right.
kind of annoyed in my head, and I went, okay. And so that got me back. That jump started my creativity. So
Yeah, I remember the acknowledgement at the end of book 3.
Yeah, and that's no joke. That really, as much as a character can live in your head, she really did come to me and just kind of kick my ass a bit. So
yeah, we didn't have curfews here in upstate. What they kind of did was they had certain shops like would just close early.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have like the the enforced curfew.
Right. Yeah, we had it for, I think it was like maybe a week or something like that, and it was eerie, but I was here with my wife and my dog, and so we had our little unit. We were fine, and I learned to make really.
So
good
you don't have
pancakes.
kids, because I felt like you were a parent by the way you wrote Peter.
I've got nephews.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, because like I felt like I'm like this guy. He writes. I felt like you did a good job writing. Those two characters, the parents with the kid. Like I thought that was interesting, and I like how you brought him back for book 2.
There's a big chunk of me that is still that age, so
Okay.
I don't always understand grown-ups, even though I apparently am one now. So it's
Hey, I can still remember being 12. Sometimes I think like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
My wife reminds me of that all the time. Like, how old are you?
Well,
at your age.
Yeah. You got Superman on the wall behind you, so.
Yeah. All-American hero. It's a great ethics to admire, in a fictional character. But yeah. Well, I like if you ever wanted to come back, like when you get that other book coming out for Ellen, let me know.
Yeah.
You can always DM me on Twitter.
I can give you a little heads up after this. I'll drop you a line maybe.
Okay. Oh yeah, and I wanted just before we forget, where can people find you?
CaSorensonWrite.com.
Okay. Yeah, I wish there was some way I could put that up in the. How could I put it up in the chat? I still don't know all the features of this, and people can find you on Twitter too as well. Right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm there.
Okay. Definitely, because I want to start doing that. Because I always forget to do that. Because like I'm kind of new to doing this whole interview thing, so I'm trying to I try to do like a mix of having preset questions, and then trying to do like casual on top of that to try to, let people like see the personalities of the authors.
Well, this just flew right by. So thank you.
I know, right? Oh man, the first few times I did this, I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, what am I gonna say?
Don't you love it with it when I mean, there's always going to be some slight delay, but where you ask something or you make a comment and then there's just a moment of
silence.
Where nothing's happening. I don't know. Should I ask another question? Is he done? Does she want to be here?
Right. Yeah, because like I think that's one of the things that's so hard about trying to do like Zoom and like live streams is like it's not like you're in person and you can read body language and be like, okay, is it my turn to speak? And that's one of the things like I have difficulty with is like I have a bad habit of like interrupting people because like I get a thought in my head and I'm like, well, if I don't say it, I'm gonna lose it. Because like I always I
have that.
Forget.
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now because I have that same thing. I have to watch myself because I'm so interested in what the person's saying. I want to add my bit, but it's
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I have this little thing that
I don't know if that's like a creative person thing.
Inappropriate. I think my brain works faster than my mouth, and so I got to get it out or it's going to be gone.
Right. Yes, I can totally relate to that because, like, yeah, that's me. I've had to reel back in those horses because sometimes I feel like some people think it's kind of rude when you just like, I don't know.
Well, not me.
It is what it is.
Seems completely natural to me. So that's maybe that's the way, because my whole family does it. So we all grew up the same way. Everybody talking over each other.
Right.
I mean, how would you write that? You'd have to write like a book with 2 columns with a family talking over each other, like in a screenplay.
That would be kind of confusing to read, I think.
Yeah, and even more confusing to narrate. Have 2 narrators. But
I have seen comics do that.
Yeah.
You know how they do that in comics? They do the word balloons kind of behind and overlapping.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Like I've seen a couple of new comics do that, and I like it as an interesting concept. And then sometimes they'll write it really small for if it's something that's not important to the story, but it's just it's like background, so you kind of have a bit of what the character is experiencing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept. I think it's easier to portray in a graphic novel kind of form than if you were to place it in a novel, you know.
If you figure out a way to put it in novels, I'll definitely experiment.
Well, have you ever heard of, speaking of experimentation, have you ever heard of the knife point horror?
Mm-mm.
I can't remember that guy's name, but yeah, he did a book. It was kind of written like a run-on sentence.
Oh, okay.
It's more known. The guy's more known for his podcast because he does like creepy stories, and then he narrates them in his podcast. But yeah, he's got like a huge following. And like I read the book, and sometimes it was kind of hard to follow what was going on because you didn't know where this one story ended and where the next started because you didn't use no grammar whatsoever. It was just no punctuation,
like a ticker tape, just going on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, it was kind of like its own form of artwork all in itself, you know.
Yeah.
Like it was a different take and a different concept, but yeah. I don't know, if you might want to check. Like you said, I know you don't have the time for that kind of stuff, but if you ever want to,
I have the time to put it on my Kindle. I can tell you that. And let it sit there and make me feel guilty about not reading it.
Oh, I think physical books do that for me. I've got like a pile of physical books. Or like my TBR is like, read me.
Yeah, I'm looking at a pile right now. So, read. You okay, Luce? Lie down. Oh, you're a good girl.
But I'm glad Crystal pointed out she loves your shirt too. By the way, I don't know.
I do too. It's nice to have an occasion to wear it. You know, it's usually for books.
I know, right? Like
that, but you know, anything with little coffins and bats and skulls on it, sign me up.
Definitely, the skulls. Anytime they're.
My wife goes, "Oh, you got another spooky shirt. Oh, another spooky shirt. Yeah, I did."
Yeah, I think I shared your books on TikTok, and I think I used that old 60 songs with that spooky song. I can't remember what the name of it is, though.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I just got stung by something. A hornet. Ooh.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was like, it was in my, it was on the back of my head. Jeez.
Wow, look at this drama right at the end.
I know, right?
Like, this is a great cliffhanger. You're not allergic, are you?
No, but I'm definitely going to kill that sucker.
If you drop out of the camera, I guess somebody watching could call 911.
Yeah, right. There's no way here.
That'd be a great way to start an indie horror movie. A Zoom interview, and the interviewer, something happens, and then they just try to get help for him through the rest of the.
Yeah. Totally did not expect that.
Sorry, man.
I felt something falling on the back of my head and like got stung. Like, what the hell?
Oh no! I hope this does not reflect poorly upon me in any way.
All right. Well, we should drop out of the live stream here, and then we'll chat afterwards.
Okay, and we'll get you some Bactine or something like that.
Yeah. Right.